First up, let's talk about Jon Sumrall. What an excellent job he did at Troy. What an excellent job. Tulane says, I want some of that in my program, right? And Tulane had recent success with Willie Fritz, right? They'd won the American the year before. They won the freaking Cotton Bowl, beat USC, Caleb Williams, in a remarkable game that was. And yeah, so the formula is there. Like you can win at Tulane. You can win at Tulane. We know that. It's in a great geographical area. You just need a good coach. And I think Jon Sumrall is quite a good coach. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think this you're going like you mentioned. It's from one really good hire, Willie Fritz, who took a couple of years, but he turned around the program. We have our Willie Fritz video when he goes to Houston up on our YouTube video as well. If you want to check that out as well. We talk about his, same thing here about with Houston and Willie Fritz. But yeah, I love this for Jon Sumrall and for Tulane. I think this is about as good of a hire as you could have at Tulane. And I love it because the way to build a program like Tulane, especially in the college football playoff era that we are coming into, right, 12 years, is to stack consecutive good hires at a time. The reality of Tulane right now is like if a coach does his job, if he does what you want him to do and hire him, like he's gonna get hired away, more than likely, right? That's just what it is. That's the reality of a lot of jobs, 90% of jobs in college football. But I understand it as a Minnesota fan. Like I get that. If PJ Fleck continues to ball out or maybe continues to replicate that 2019 season where he gets 10, 11 wins, like he's going to end up somewhere else. But that's a good thing for Tulane. This is a good problem to have. And I trust the staff and this athletic department to nail Willie Fritz. And then also, I think they nailed this Jon Sumrall hire as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jon Sumrall, 23-4 at Tulane or at Troy. Two Sun Belt championships in the 2 years that he was there. Like what? Uh
And what were they
he
before? It wasn't that like Troy was a powerhouse in the Sun Belt. Yes, under Neil Brown, they were doing great things, obviously. But Chip Lindsey was in there and they were winning 5 games a year, right? This was not like the Boise State or Liberty in the COC where they just have significantly more resources and talent than a lot of other programs in the conference.
yeah, dude, and I love this hire too because I also love what Jon Sumrall says. If you've been watching, if you're a Tulane fan, you've probably been watching some of these press conferences. Even if you're a Troy fan, you probably watched Jon Sumrall's like exit press conference, and all he talks about says it's always been about the players. That's where we start. That's what we build. That's what it's about. And if I'm a college football coach, that's exactly what I would want my motto to be, right? It's about the players. It's absolutely about the players. How can you develop them? Like Jon Sumrall, like he can take credit, sure, and he will take good credit for the work that he did at Troy, but there were a lot of players in there too that really like elevated him. And there's certain coaches, uh, aka certain coaches that coach at Texas A&M that really should be giving a lot of their careers credit to particular players. But I like that Jon Sumrall gives credit to the players, and I love that he's all about the players. So I think people are going to be really, really excited about that. And look, it's a great place to like. You're in the state of Louisiana, like you can actually recruit pretty decently, and you got a good pitch too. SMU is out of there; they're in the AACC now instead of the AAC. Like it's going to be Tulane and in Memphis, really. Like if you look at it in terms of like the level of talent and resources, who's going to be competing at the top there. So I think I think Tulane's very very good spot to land a
He
job. And
was
I think
also
Jon
there
Sumrall, yeah, he was there before too as a DC.
10 years ago, DC. So he knows like to me, I think that's a good sign. When I see that and the guy comes back, he's like, okay, he knows the situation there, resources, people. Not only do the people feel comfortable hiring him back, but he also feels comfortable in going back there, knowing that with his resources and his abilities, he can win there. And John Sherman was a guy that did not have was not short of options, right? This guy has been a pretty hot topic the past couple coaching cycles, right? Because of the success he had at Troy for 2 straight years. And to me, I love that. Not only does he understand what the program is about, he understands the fan, the town, uptown in New Orleans area. It's awesome. I think this is a great fit.
I think so too. What they say was I believe it's a 6 year, a 6 year deal. And look, he might not be there all those 6 years. The reality is too, like Mark Stoops had taken that job at Texas A&M, like was originally rumored. Jon Sumrall would be at Kentucky. That's his alma
Yeah.
mater. Like, and I guarantee you, Kentucky, that'd be the first person that they call, and he would be more than happy to take that job. So I do think the next job that Jon Sumrall takes is in the SEC. So I don't think this by any means his last stop, but that's a good thing for Tulane, right? Like if you're like like you said, it's going to be hard to stack good hire after good hire after good hire, but you can kind of do that, at Tulane when you have the resources, and it is a pretty, what do you say, like it's an attractive job, right? It's an attractive job.
I think almost
So
now more than ever because not only the success Willie Fritz had, but we'll get it when we get into like to me my long term expectations and for Summerall and Tulane here, but like with the rules and the playoff expanding to 12 and the 12th spot or whatever you want to call it is going to be open for an at-large bid in the group of five, like Tulane and with all the movement with UCF, Cincinnati, SMU, Houston, BYU all gone to the Power Five and unable to qualify for that spot. Like Tulane is on a short list of teams that I feel really good about their chances every year going into it, right? To make that playoffs, which is money, which is publicity, which is all these good things that come with national exposure.
absolutely, not to mention when look in a couple years when media contracts expire, Tulane is on the short list of schools that can make that jump to, I guess, P4 or P3 or whatever it ends up being. I don't know. The next conference realignment is gonna be crazy, but yeah, but in the moment right now, Jon Sumrall is a fantastic hire. So we talk about expectations, then we talk about grades, right? Because we can't give our grades without giving our expectations, right? My expectations for Tulane is to be year over year in contention for the American Conference Championship. And also, every few years, they have one of those years where they should be in the conversation for a playoff spot, given the conference that they're in and given the way that they can compete at that conference. That's my expectation. I'm not saying that they should make the playoffs like with Jon Sumrall, like, and it would be a total failure. I'm saying like the expectation should be like they got some talent there. Jon Sumrall's a great coach. You have the infrastructure to win. You play in a conference that favors pretty schedule or schedules pretty favorably to you. And yeah, so give me like it should be 9, 10 wins a year at least for Tulane, I think. Maybe not year one, right? Because they did lose a lot of talent this year and talent last year to the NFL. But I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah, I could not agree more, especially within the conference. I don't think they're quite ready to compete at a national level, right? Like every couple of years you mentioned, we're like, okay, they can be a legit top 20, top 15 team, right? And compete for a power five or for that playoff spot. But in conference, with SMU leaving, with Cincinnati, UCF, all those guys leaving, it opens the door wide open for you. It's UTSA and Memphis, and not really much else there, resource wise and talent wise. We'll see what UCF does there with Alex Golish, but like it's open for you. And I think Summerall is the perfect guy to combat that. In terms of short term expectations for you, I do think it's tough because Willie Fritz did build such a good roster. And with the transfer portal, it's just so easy to decimate it and so hard to re-recruit guys. I think that's what you have to do. While guys like Michael Pratt and Chris Brazel and some of the running back maybe might all be gone, there's some other talented pieces on this roster on the front and on both sides of the line of scrimmage that you need to buckle down that I think he starts with. And Summerall's like a guy that I think is pretty well respected. I think he will be able to do that in the short term and also like capitalize on some other transfers that he can bring in as well. And also, yeah, continue that momentum that Willie Fritz had, right? I know you won't have Tajay Spears or Michael Pratt or some of the stars that Willie Fritz and Tulane had, but you can still continue that momentum, you know?
Absolutely. So given the expectations, I will give my grade. And my grade for this hire is an A. How is it not an A? You hire a guy that's formerly in the program. The guy's had success where he's been. He's young, he's 41. Now you could give it a lower grade if you were really nitpicky, like, and we're like, well, this is just a stepping stone job for him. He's going to go somewhere else in a couple years. But that's what makes it a good hire. Like, if he's going to go somewhere else because he's better and he's good enough to, why can you not? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy to me. That's crazy talk to me. This is an A hire. If I could give an A plus, this would be an A plus. This is a fantastic hire. I thought Jon Sumrall was going to be in conversations for larger jobs. Like, of course, we talked about Kentucky. I thought he was in the, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he
I,
wanted to
I
go. I think he would have wanted to stay in the SEC, and there were not a lot of jobs in the SEC this
I think
offseason.
Arkansas, if there wasn't any, I
There's
don't think
none.
If Arkansas stayed open or
Well, besides
came
Texas
open,
A&M. Texas A&M was open, but
yeah, and he got some looks there, and there were some early mentions there. I do think there's something to say about maybe the Tulane job is just a little bit better than we think it is because Willie Fritz, like, stayed there over Georgia Tech, right? Ran it back another year. And Summerall chose it after having multiple options last year, presumably options this year, knowing that he's probably going to get some looks there in the SEC. Yeah, I'm going to give it an A's too. Like, there's no doubt about it. You mentioned he checked every single box. And if your only complaint or worry as a Tulane fan is, oh, he might leave us, great. That means he has a fantastic year and success that Willie Fritz had. Then you do it all over again. And by that chance, you're going to continue to build good consecutive coaches and your program's just going to be better than where he found it at. And that's just such a beautiful thing about college football, even though like it sucks. It takes, but it also gives you what Summerall's going to do for this program. I think it's going to be awesome. Yeah, easy A for me. I thought this is one of the perfect fits, I think. And obviously we'll see what happens. We'll figure out what his staff looks like, but I trust him to build a good one. I think this is a slam dunk. I think this is awesome, and Tulane fans should be really excited about this.